In the event of an emergency, the building may be evacuated. You'll be required to vacate the building by the rear entrance and gather at the breezeway between the library and the art gallery buildings. This is Council's designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anyone permitted to re-enter the building. The all clear has been given and the area deemed safe by authorised personnel. In the event of an evacuation, a member of council staff will assist any member of the public with a disability to vacate the building. All councillors and staff are required to speak into the microphone. You may need to move your microphone closer to you to ensure you are heard and recorded on live streaming. Your microphone will glow red when it is picking up your voice. Do we have any apologies for absence?
There are no apologies at this time.
Thank you. Live streaming and recording. This council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak at this council meeting that you ensure you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Orange City Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this council meeting. A recording will be made available for administrative purposes. I'd like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land. I would also like to pay respect to the elders both past and present of the Wiradjuri nation and extend that respect to other Aboriginal Australians who are present. Does any councillor wish to declare any conflicts of interest in any matter for consideration at the council meeting?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Item 5.6, request for financial assistance. I'm a member as a volunteer of the Rainbow City Festival, so I'll be stepping out of the room while that event funding is determined.
Councillor McRae, any others? No. Got a late item. Water security projects. Move,
Mr Mayor.
Moved Councillor Henry, seconded Councillor Romano. All in favour? Aye. Against, thank you. The Merrill minute there is 2.1 Centroc and Central New South Wales Joint Organisation meetings. Someone move those?
The recommendation, Mr Mayor?
Just questions on that.
Second first,
Mr Mayor.
Second the first.
You
Thank you, Councillor Munro. Yep.
My question was just the language that's used, unprecedented drought. I thought the preservation drought was far worse than what we're going through now, but I don't know. I didn't think it was unprecedented.
Probably here. Oh, sorry, I retract that statement, Mr Mayor.
I think
it's a terminology. Yep. Councillor Nugent.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the report. It's always good to see what councils on a regional basis are doing. I think it's really important is the joint organisation and the work that the joint organisation does. Also, I just wanted to thank the staff and Mr Redmond for the additional information that he provided in relation to items on the in the report this afternoon. Just a couple of questions. The tourism data survey for the region, presume a link will be circulated to all councillors in relation to how to participate in that survey. And also, is there any reason why that can't be extended to the general community in the sort of the interests of citizen-initiated science projects? Collecting data.
I could certainly take that back to the board, and if the board so voted that way, it could be, yeah. Decision by the board.
By the board, okay. Well, it just seems to me we may as well sample from as wide as possible pool as we can.
Yep.
In relation to the Murray-Darling Association, I note that where the recommendations report, that report will include, I presume, any costs involved in doing that and the benefits involved in being part of that association.
Correct.
It seems like a good thing to be part of, but yeah, it'd be good to have that additional information.
Well, I can't agree with you there, but it'll come back for a discussion for all councillors, yeah. Councillor McRae.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, my question's actually in relation to the wording of the first part of the recommendation. We're asked that councillors and staff be asked to take the tourism data survey. But a close reading of page 8 suggests, to my mind, that we're actually being asked to help promote it. If I'm not actually a tourist in this region, what would be the value of me actually completing the survey itself? I would wonder whether we need to change the word of that to promote the tourism data survey for the region to better reflect actually capturing accurate data. It's more of a question, I guess, as to whether that's accurately what they want us to do, or whether we'll skew the data by having a whole bunch of residents do it by encouraging council staff and councillors to complete it.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we might come back with a bit more detail for councillors on this. I understand the use of staff for this is because it's a family and friends thing, so that was one, asking the staff whether families and friends. We'll come back to you with some detail and certainly circulate the survey and make sure it is actually useful.
And just remind all councillors are quite welcome to go to Central meetings, which is now the JOC, if you like, Association of Councils. Welcome to go to those meetings, any councillor. Okay, I've got our good news folder, and I'll get the CEO to.
Can you vote on that?
Oh, sorry. All in favour? Against? Thank you. Against, Councillor McRae.
Mr. Chair, good news folder. We have a letter this time from Mr. Tim Omar, thanking council for putting in a concrete footpath in Niles Street. He also said full marks to the workers who did the job in a cooperative and competent manner. Chair, there are no speaker registrations tonight.
Council meeting resumes. We have 3.1 is confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting of Orange City Council held on the 3rd of December.
Move the recommendation.
With a question.
We have one at a time. It really helps. Who's moving it?
Oh, sorry, I heard him yell out first, but I was standing, but it doesn't matter.
Are you moving it, Councillor?
I'm happy to move it. With a question.
Councillor Nugent?
I'm happy to second it.
Yes. Councillor
Yeah,
Duffy.
my question is, it's just a follow-up on the water one. Have we written to the federal and state government to say that we want them some action from them? Or do we want to talk with that a bit later on?
Regard to the water.
Can you read?
Points through.
Encouraging the minutes the minutes that we encourage the state and federal governments to build more dams for residential and agricultural purposes.
Mr. Chair.
Written to them,
I can
or
answer
we
that.
just going to stand on top of Mount Canobbas and yell it out, or?
If it hasn't gone, I think Mr. Greenham's been away a little bit. It'll go tomorrow.
Yep. We'll have built one next
All
week.
in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Hands, please. Against. The motion is 4.1. It's a note motion on the Lachlan Valley rail support. We got a mover?
I'll move it.
Second.
So Munro is moving it. Councillor, just remind you, councillors, you need a mover and a seconder for a motion, or you have to jump your feet and talk for it. If you get up, I can't give you the floor until we have a mover and a seconder. All yours.
I think this is important. So important what this could bring to Orange. Incredible, I think, especially in winter, quiet and nice lifestyle sort of weekends. Orange could be precious for Orange to have trains and all that sort of thing here. Ours. Now, Rail Action Group. It's a great little, as everybody knows, with other day of our that benefit for more rail, and been encouraging Lachlan Valley Rail hold here. Two groups are sort of helping each other, and I really encourage that. Regard to I think that little bit of support to try and get some intellectual property is get some money for him. A great outcome. So I'd like your support, please, and happens in the next. Wonderful to see a shed there and the rail put in. Funding and through public awareness, build some outcome.
Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm going to support this 100%, but I want to go a little bit further. I'm thinking about moving an amendment that we put around about $100,000 in the budget for 3 or 4 years, and in the next year's budget, because it's something we've already got on the books that we've said we're going to support them no matter what. I mean, when you see that if Lachlan Valley Railways come over here, it's going to give them direct access to the northern line up through Dubbo, it's giving them to the western line, go out to Condell and all those places. I remember being on the Year of the Outback train that was absolutely packed. It went through to Broken Hill and back again in 2002, and it was well and truly 100% supported. Even the local member for Clare even hopped on for a little ride out to Boranor where it stopped. But I do think, and I'm happy to move an amendment that we add money in the budget for the for consideration.
I think it'd be more appropriate to let the motion go as it is, because we're in budgetary discussions at the moment.
Who's having this debate? Me or you? Or am I speaking or you're speaking?
I'll let you speak, but don't dribble on. Let's try and keep it to the motion.
Too late, it's all over his tie.
Bit late. How long has he been on council
I'm trying
now?
to give him $50,000, but I'm happy to support it 100%, and I think we'll put it on notice that we're going to work about it in the budget.
I think you were lucky to get that through, Councillor Munro.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I support the motion also. I just got a couple of questions. I'm just wondering through the relevant director, if they could perhaps estimate how many hours they would consider would be needed for the project. The reason why I asked the question, or if you could answer it first, follow-up question.
Through you, Mr Chair, I attended the meeting where this was discussed at the Rail Action Group, and I sort of acquiesced to this. What's needed here is our planner, who's an expert in heritage, and Mr Crump will help basically do the grant application work. Overall, I would say we're looking at a week in a year.
A week?
In a year of that staff time.
Just wondering whether the councillor has made any representations to the local member who's also enthusiastic about a project like this. And I remember last year or the year before where he was encouraging people to call into his office to assist with the grants and things like that. And I know that he does have a budget which will give back to the local economy. I'm just wondering whether there's an opportunity to visit the local member and see whether he's in a position to assist also, whether it be a way of preparing grants or funding as well, or whether he can lobby for funding.
Through you, Mr Chair, Councillor Munro, I recall that Mr Donato had a letter on this at that meeting, so I think there's some contact has been made. We'll chase that up.
Excellent.
Councillor McRae.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I'll support the original motion, which is to provide the grant writing assistance. A little concerned at Councillor Duffy's suggestion that we plonk some money in a budget. It does state in the letter of support that Lachlan Valley Rail Advisors Cowra will remain as its base. So before we perhaps allocate big dollars, I'd want a few more assurances. I'm also aware that we already provide a rates reduction for Lachlan Valley Rail for the site. So, look, I think it's wonderful to support them with this first start for support for the project, and particularly as it's come through the Orange Rail Action Group. But beyond that, I'd like to see a bit more detail.
I'll put the motion. All in favour? Hands, thanks. Against? Carried. General reports, 5 point.
Rich, from that, I'd like to just say to the council, thank you very much for that, but early new year, quite on what they're going to do.
Yeah, you can certainly do that. Yeah, we'll take that on notice. Thanks. 5.1 is recommendations and resolutions from policy committees. 38.
Move, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Hamling, a second. Councillor Nugent. All in favour? Hands, please. Against? Thank you. 5.2 is the
Mr.
state.
Mayor,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry, Councillor Nugent.
Just a quick matter arising in relation to the housing summit last night that a number of councillors attended. I just wanted to say what a positive and productive forum that I think that was, in terms of the airing of ideas and outlining the parameters of the issues, and it certainly makes it clear that housing, social and affordable housing, and homelessness is a very complex problem. I think the format of that session, with Alan Reader doing his Jeffrey Robertson impersonation, which was very well done, was really good. And I think I'd like to see us do more of that sort of thing in terms of consulting with the public. I look forward to that housing strategy development continuing on, and more of those forums part of that process.
Yeah. CEO would just like
Through Mr. Chair, with your indulgence, I've been asked several times, will we be holding more forums in the new year? Certainly, we're aiming to hold another water forum, probably in late January when everyone's back. In February, we'll see the next housing forum, and a business forum follow-up is planned as well, at least.
Mr. Mayor, just quickly, I was going to say we've done pretty well on the forums because we never used to have them. We've had a footpaths one, we've had a water, and now two water, now a housing one. So we're on the right track, I reckon.
business.
And I think the public, appreciate being able to come in and hear what the experts are saying, the staff, and being able to ask the hard questions. I think it's a good platform for the residents to be informed and council to be transparent.
Thank you. Okay, we move on to 5.2, and that's the Statement of Investments for November 2019. Councillor Munro moving, second Councillor McRae. All in favour? Hands, please. 5.3 is Development Application DA 282/2019, brackets 1, 5 Don Peters Place. Move Councillor Munro, second Councillor Duffy.
Mayor, I seek advice, living out at Clifton Grove, should I declare an interest on this one?
No.
I didn't think so, but I thought I'd better check.
All in favour? We voted on, didn't you?
We haven't voted, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, thanks. All in favour? Against? Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Taylor. 5.4 is the Code of Conduct Complaint Reporting.
I move it, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Councillor Duffy, seconded by Councillor Nugent.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it's a considerable change from previous council, isn't it? Like there's a zero tolerance there as far as a $0 cost to the council. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one thing that's absolutely changed in this new council. I think it's good news. What does worry me is that when the crunch came, and there was a lot of people in the media and in the media in those places that wanted admonishment of certain councillors for doing certain things, and I just wonder there was going to be a come to Orange to talk about insurance and all those type of things for helping out councillors, and I don't know whether that's happened yet. Hasn't happened yet. So we'd be looking forward to an apology from certain people for it to go further ahead.
So Duffy, the insurers came to Orange
That was
last
Civic
month.
Risk.
Civic Risk, our insurers, for the professional indemnity.
Is that the one you're talking about? Or you're
I'm talking about the one that said they were going to come here late November.
Did.
When we went away to the conference? Yes.
Been here, sorry,
They
about
had
3
the
weeks
conference
ago.
here and all councillors were invited.
Been done, is it?
Yes, it occurred in November. An email went to all councillors inviting them to the dinner and to the sessions.
I think it's an issue can be taken back through local government New South
We
Wales.
need to do something about it.
Councillor McRae.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I will note that it does have a clean slate for the last 6 months, but look, this is really arising from last meeting and the meeting before. Can we have an update on whether the 2 councillors who hadn't completed the Code of Conduct training have done so since that report was put forward, or since the last report?
Look, I'll have to rule that out of order because this is on a report on the Code of Conduct complaint reporting. This has got nothing to do with training. Put the motion. All in favour? Against? Thank you. .5 is Councillor Jason Hamling's Australian Airports Association Conference Report.
Mayor.
Seconded.
Councillor Hamling, seconded Councillor Romano. Councillor Nugent.
Yeah, look, I just want to thank Councillor Hamling for this report. Good summary of what went on, some of the key issues that were being raised. In particular, I'd just like to comment on the alternative revenue streams and the issues of solar power at airports. I do note that Brisbane Airport recently completed a 5,725 megawatt solar PV installation with 20,937 solar panels in 6 different sites, some on roofs, some on the ground. It's one of the biggest PV installations at an airport in Southern Hemisphere, I believe. So, and it was actually completed by a company that has worked in Orange, and in fact installed the PV installation on Old Town Hall. So I think in terms of solar, there is really big opportunities in terms of installing it at airports, and I'd like to see that sort of continue. And in terms of Orange Airport, the more we can do in terms of solar out there, I think the better, especially given that airports and airlines do make a significant contribution to climate change. So anything we can do to offset that with solar energy, renewable energy, operating those airports, I think is a good thing. So so thanks for the report, and I look forward to what those learnings going into our own airport. One thing I did want to say was on page 100, the third dot point under Claire Donnellan's presentation, showcase your area by what the passenger first sees at the airport. I just wonder whether there's scope for us, and maybe this is matters already been discussed by the airport committee, about showcasing out there what Orange 360 tourism brand, the opportunities there are in the region, right across 3 council areas, and whether there's something more we can be doing out there, because the airport's great, but it's a big barn. I think there seems to be a lot of space. I'd like to see maybe a showcase with showing some of the features, some of the great things that you can do in the region.
I'd get the director just give you a bit of a brief on actually what is happening out there at the moment, and just a reminder on solar that we already have solar installed on our works depot, and that was before any other council that I know in Western New South Wales. We also have solar on the swimming pool, solar on a couple of other buildings, and it is part of progressive sort of installation of solar power. But I'll get the director to talk about some of the things that are happening at the airport.
Okay, just briefly, as council are aware, we received a grant in the order of $2 million for the airport upgrade, and that includes a number of car park upgrades. With some of those car park upgrades, they're covered and will include solar cells. The information display within the airport, one of those under the grant is a TV wall. I think it's a panoramic of 9 TVs linked up together that will actually be able to display messages from Orange 360 and what have you. But there's also 2 other important display messages that we're working with. So we're working in parallel with the Aero Club to do a more of a history panogram for the building of the airport, but also for the establishment of the Max Hazleton Airlines, which has since been sold on to Rex, and as part of that, and then we've also got some dedicated people working within with the local Aboriginal Land Council to do a welcome to country type image. And if you've flown into Wagga Airport recently, you'll see that there's some etching on the glass front wall of the airport there. Similar welcome to country for their area. So three main areas: welcome to country, the Orange 360 information, as well as some historical information in regards to Max Hazelton and the establishment of the Orange Airport.
Just a question, Mr. Mayor, through you. Mr. Grinham, has the air ambulance awning been installed yet that was talked about 4 months ago?
No, but the fabrication of the awning off-site has commenced.
Is there a time frame when this awning can be installed?
It can be installed at any time, but I think they're targeting January, where it's a bit quieter, when we're also coming in and doing the...
Okay. So it's full steam ahead?
It is.
Yep.
Yes.
Great.
Put the motion. All in favour? Yes, thank you. 5.6 is request for financial assistance, major event sponsorship, February 2020 through to April 2020. Item 5.6. Sorry, just wait a second. Item 8 gets 3 chosen. Yeah. We'll do item 3 first. Move Councillor Nugent.
Seconded.
Seconded Councillor.
It's item 3. I just wonder, and just a question. I don't mind, and I support it 100%. If someone else comes here and we want a straight party, like we've had before, we're going to give it the same quotient of money.
My word, we've been having lots of straight parties for years.
I'll hold you to that word, Mr. Mayor, because we'll have
But
one sooner or later.
I've been to ghost ones, and I've been to black and white ones, and I'm thinking over the years I've been to Roman ones.
Just to bring it up.
And I've been to all sorts of things in my lifetime. And in fact, I think one of the best balls I've ever been to was called the Luna Ball in Sydney, which was at Luna Park actually, and I think you'll find that was open to anybody from anywhere, colour, creed, religious belief or sexual preference.
I wasn't picking on that. I was
Councillor,
talking about the percentage ratio.
Thank you,
The
Mr.
dollars.
Mayor. Just wondering, I'm looking at the funding, and is there any...
This is where that item?
Yeah. That's what I'm just wondering, if there's an opportunity for council to become more involved. I know that yourself as head of the council, as the mayor and the deputy mayor, whether you're both intending on doing something to help promote the event.
What would you like me to do?
If you like, you're just talking yourself up about some other events. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm quite willing to be involved in any promotion for it you can suggest.
Can we have a report come back on that?
I don't mind, but I just think it's a great opportunity to be involved
got some
in the
ideas.
event. And I'm just
I
wondering...
think one thing I can say, there's not too many events I don't attend.
I'm aware of that. I know you'd be disappointed if you miss this one, so...
I won't.
Wondering whether council as a whole, not only yourself and other councillors, but council as a whole to help show our support.
Yeah. Councillor Marr.
Is this is the event where our federal member gave $20,000 to? Same event?
That's right. Correct, Mr. Chair.
So my question is, if they've already received $20,000, why...
State match it.
You pardon?
The state match it. That'd be a good question.
Well, I just find, no, I'm not going to support the $5,000. I'd rather give it to someone in need at the moment with the drought. And that's where I sit with it. $20,000 they've already received from the federal member. I don't think that, we should give them another $5,000. That's all I have to say on it.
Any other speakers for or against? I'll put Councillor Whitten.
Mr. Mayor, look, I rise to support the funding. It's an event for Orange and we should embrace it. And going to bring visitors, it's going to bring revenue, and I understand where Councillor Romano is coming from with regard to the farmers, but we're promoting buy from the bush at the moment, so this is a mechanism for that. So I wholeheartedly support any events that are bringing people to Orange.
I'm going to put the motion. All in favour? Hands, please. Against? Yeah, you've got those. Okay, can you ask Councillor? Now we've got to deal with recommendations 1, 2 and 4.
Move it.
There's an amendment to item 1 to the amount.
The recommendation funding of $2,451.05 be applied, but actually it should read the amount that was applied for, which is $3,000.
Happy to move it with it.
Councillor Duffy, seconded Councillor Nugent. All right, do you want to do these individually or the 1, 2 and 4?
Gang lot.
All right, 1, 2 and 4. Is everyone happy? All in favour? Hands, please. Against, thank you. 5.7 is a request for financial assistance for the temporary sports
Move, Mr.
facility, Orange District Softball Association. Move Councillor Hamling and Councillor Nugent. All in favour? Please, councillors. Against, thank you. 5.8 is a request for financial assistance post-exhibition McCormick Barber Party Under the Stars New Year's Eve community celebrations. Councillor.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to declare an interest as a DocTech because we are a prime or a major sponsor of the. I get that on subject to guidance from the CEO that we are financially funding collaboration, possibly we can probably deliver.
Look, I think it's
As the chairman as well, yeah.
really non-pecuniary to us that it'd affect 3 of us anyhow.
But by all means, leave.
Councillor Taylor and myself.
If you're worried.
So, Mr. CEO,
My reading is non-significant and non-pecuniary, but should you wish to leave, that's obviously.
I think I'd prefer
take
to,
that
Mr.
option.
Mayor. I don't expect to.
I'll move it anyway.
Just for transparency.
You're right.
Councillor Romano, I'll do it from there.
I prefer to declare also, Mr Mayor.
Okay,
I'll move it.
moved by Councillor Hamling. Have a seconder. Seconded Councillor Munro. Councillor Nugent.
I'd just like to put on the record that I'm declaring as a senior manager of Octec a interest in. I am staying in.
You're staying. Okay. I'll put it to the Councillor McRae.
I'd just like to mention that there has been a lot of talk across the state regarding fireworks events, fire bans and drought. But what I will note is that nobody in our community has actually made a submission, and therefore I think we should follow the wishes of our community. Nobody's put in a submission objecting to this funding. Therefore, I'll be supporting the motion.
Okay, I'll put it to the vote. All in favour? Unanimous. Against? Carried. Move on to 5.9.
Well done. We'll move on to 5.9 is strategic policy review.
Move it, Mr Chairman.
Moved Councillor Duffy. Seconded Councillor Turner, was it? Thank you. Councillor Nugent.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I suppose I'm just wondering in terms of the time frame, given that we're just going into the Christmas period, it does say a minimum of 28 days. Do we have a time frame that we're closing date for submissions?
Yes, Councillor Hughes, Mr Mayor. The closing date for submissions has been extended to the 31st of January, which is an additional 14 days. They will be advertised from this, they'll go in the paper this Saturday, and the councillors or members of the public provide any feedback or comments on the policies is till the 31st of January.
Also, just wondering whether our newly formed or about to be formed council policy review committee will be looking at these reviews, given that they're going to be reviewing all strategic policies of the.
The reason why I moved it, Mr. Chairman, we can look at it later on. So what's up?
Through you, Mr. Chair, but of course.
Sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chair, but of course.
Of course. During this period. During
the
Policy to strategic policy
period,
committee.
the policies are available to the members of the Policy Review Committee to review. First, which can then be incorporated in the report that would come back to council in the second meeting.
Looking forward to councillors' comments.
I will take them down to the cricket with me and I'll
And you're,
text them back and forward during the day to you. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Against? 5.10 is
Mr. Chairman.
release of restriction on the land, use of the land for Lot 4 DP 1185665. Moved Councillor Duffy, seconded Councillor Hamling. All in favour? Yep. Now look at moving in for the closed meeting. The Chief Executive Officer will advise the Council if any written submissions have been received relating to any item advertised for consideration by a closed meeting of Orange City Council.
No such submissions have been received, Mr. Chair.
I extend an invitation to any member of the public present at the meeting to make a representation to Council as to whether the meeting should be closed for a particular item. In accordance with the Local Government Act of 1993 and the Local Government in brackets General Regulation of 2005, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is of a kind as referred to in Section 10A brackets 2 of the Act and should be dealt with in a confidential session of Council meeting closed to the press and public. The items to be considered in closed. 6.1, tender for construction of Shirley Creek Gravity Sewer Main and 6.4, water security projects, the late item. Reasons for confidentiality, the item is classified confidential under provisions of Section 10A 2C, information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the Council is conducting or proposes to conduct business. 6.2, request write off a debt, landing fees, and 6.3 is a request to write off debt, landing fees too. The reason for confidentiality with those items are classified confidential under the provisions of Section 10A brackets 2 bracket B, the personal hardship of any resident or ratepayer. Now go into closed.